Hello, all my little weirdos, and welcome back to Twisted Tales Tuesdays, where each week I bring you on a dark and twisted story of a legend or myth. This week, I decided to pop some bubbles with my weirdness and dig up the dark history on a couple of the Disney princesses. Some may not know, but the depiction that Mr. Walt Disney showed the world in his movies were not the original stories of these princesses. So let's dive into the twisted tales of both Mulan and Cinderella. Coming in as the eighth official Disney princess, Mulan was introduced by Disney in 1998. And to refresh your memory, this Disney film is about a fierce, badass Chinese maiden named Mulan who transformed her appearance to look like a man so she could take her father's place in the Imperial Army. And with the help of her funny little dragon friend, Mulan earns the respect of her fellow soldiers and she saves her country. Iconic, right? Technically, the real OG Mulan had a happy ending as well, coming from a 6th century Chinese poem titled The Ballad of Mulan. But as things go, time passes and the original story takes on different side stories. So, for the morbid ending of Mulan, we are going to the 17th century. In this adaptation, Mulan does the same changes to her appearance to take her father's place. However, during her service to the Tang army, she is captured by the daughter of the opposite side's leader, who is also a soldier. And one would think that Mulan would have been killed right then, right there, but she was spared because the daughter respected her courage and they shared circumstances. The two ladies became soul sisters and end up surrendering together in place of condemned men. But instead of allowing that to happen, the emperor is touched by their courage and spares their lives, sending them home to their families. Mulan returns home to find that her father has passed away and her mother has remarried, because at that point she was out on the battlefield for about 12 years. As if that wasn't bad enough, when the emperor found out she was a female, he ordered her to be his own personal lady wife, or concubine, if you will. Mulan said hell no, she was deciding her own fate. She ended up taking her own life because being dead was far better than being a prisoner to the emperor. Could you imagine going through pretending to be the opposite sex, going to war and surviving just to come back home to be made a sex slave? No, thank you. So now we are moving our way up the list of official Disney princesses and talking about Cinderella, who tops out at number 2 on that list. In 1950, Disney released the story of Cinderella to all of us little girls at home. She was forced to serve her stepmother and stepsisters, but with the help of her fairy godmother, she got all dolled up and caught the attention and the heart of the prince at the ball, thus escaping her life as a servant and lives happily ever after. And leave it to the good old Brothers Grimm to have the morbid adaptation of the story, titled Aschenputtel. Luckily for Cinderella, aka Aschenputtel, she still gets her happy ending. For her nasty ass stepmother and stepsisters, not so much. One of the differences between the two adaptations is that in the Brothers Grimm story, there is no fairy godmother. There's only a hazel tree that was planted next to her mother's grave, and that was the hazel tree that Aschenputtel ran and cried to when her evil stepmother denied her coming to the ball with her stepsisters. And her tears opened up the paranormal magic portal, and the tree started shaking. Then a beautiful dress and gold slippers fell from the branches. So, with the awesome gift from her dead mommy, she put on her new threads and headed towards the palace where the ball was being held. When she stepped into the ballroom and the prince got a gander at her, it was game over. He was in love. Same as the Disney adaptation, the clock struck midnight and she bolted out of there for fear she will be recognized once her dress turned back into rags. The ball was apparently a 3-night affair, and when she bolted on the prince the second night, he took two desperate measures. He told his servants to put tar down on the stairs, so if she tried to flee again, she would either be stuck or be forced to leave something behind. hence when she slips out of her slipper for him to find later. And same as the Disney movie, the prince tries to find his dream girl by putting that shoe on every woman in the kingdom. At this point, no one knew it was Aschenputtel. Not even her stepmother or stepsisters recognized her at the ball. But as you can imagine, the stepsisters were envious of this supposed mysterious girl. When the shoe was deemed not a match for the two evil stepsisters, their mother took them into a private room and she chopped a piece of the toe from one daughter and a piece of the heel on the other daughter's foot to make the shoe fit. So when that didn't jive with the royal servants, because why they thought the pool of blood wouldn't be a dead giveaway, they actually found a perfect match with Cinderella. She was brought to the prince and she confessed everything and told him of the wretched life she lived, but he didn't care. He just wanted her to be his wife. And on their wedding day, a flood of birds entered the church, perched up and stared down the evil stepmother and stepsisters. Eventually, the birds attacked and plucked the eyes out of the stepsisters. And the stepmother was shunned out of her own home by her own daughters because all of this was her fault. But word had already gotten around how crappy of a person she was, so no one would take her in. She had to live the rest of her days in the way that she forced Cinderella to do so, scrubbing floors and sleeping in corners dressed in rags. And that's exactly what they get for being a gaggle of bitches. So those are the twisted and dark adaptations of two of the princesses that we grew up watching thanks to good old Walt Disney. If you have any other twisted tales or Disney princesses that you would like for me to do an episode on, drop a comment below, and until next time, bye!